everybody. Welcome to the Throttle House YouTube page. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope everybody's doing all right out there. It's exceptionally cold here in central Pennsylvania. With the wind chill that's like -10, -15. If it gets any colder, I'm definitely going to pack up and move to Florida. But for today, we're going to be working on this 22 Street Glide Special you see behind me. We got a couple of things planned for it while it's up on the lift. It's going to get some new handlebars. Customer has aftermarket handlebars on it right now, but we're going to be going with a narrower width handlebar for more control while he's ripping down the highway. He's also been having some issues with his bars rolling back on him, which is definitely a huge safety concern. So we're going to be installing one of the Polyaffe Bagger Nation super clamps to keep those bars locked down and keep them safe. And finally, we're going to be replacing the stock compensator with a Star Racing compensator ramp, and that'll bulletproof that primary for the upcoming riding season. So follow along, hopefully give you some tips and tricks along the way, and thanks again for tuning in. All right, everybody, as you can see, we got the handlebars off the bike, and I just wanted to go over a couple of things that I was thinking of as I was tearing the bike apart. First, you'll notice all the paint protection. I think it's a critical step, although it be an easy one. Whether I'm working on your bike or whether you're working on your own bike at your house, it only takes a couple minutes, and I think it makes a big difference to the end product, because our goal here is to return your bike better than when it showed up. And I'm sure a lot of you out there spend a lot of money and time on your own bike and just want to keep it looking good and ready to rip. Even if it's something simple, you want to do a set of mirrors on your bike before you go out and ride that afternoon, you're all excited, you're just going to go throw them on. Things happen, distractions happen, things don't want to go together or come apart, and a simple drop could put an expensive dent into this tank. Or if you're working with something especially dirty or greasy and you start setting on your seat, guys are spending $600 on these Saddlemen seats. So to protect your investment, I think it's worth the $10 towel from Walmart. You can get the fancy Harley cover, or I'm sure you can find them on Amazon, or even use a towel, but just some kind of paint protection. The Crown Royal bags here, I'm definitely not the one that came up with it, but it's a really good trick. I use them for the brake master cylinders and clutch levers when I'm doing bars, or I might throw them on the calipers when I'm doing a tire. You probably have some stuff away in a drawer somewhere, maybe you know somebody that does. With that same idea, getting ready, getting prepped for the whatever job you're working on, service manuals, I can't preach it enough. My first 6 months in the dealership, I would grab a service manual for every single bike that I worked on, whether it was an oil change or an engine teardown, and really spent a lot of time just driving that into my head and trying to really get a good understanding of what I'm doing. I think it's a super important step, and even after all this time, I still don't hesitate to pull up a manual and double check myself and make sure I'm doing the job correctly and to the best of my ability. With that being said, if you're installing aftermarket parts, a lot of it's the same, but it is different. So that QR code that you get on new parts, or that little instruction paper, take a couple minutes to review it. It can save yourself a lot of headache down the road. Especially even maybe you've done an S&S cam chest before and you feel pretty confident going in there, but fueling might do something different. So I think it's worth taking the time and setting yourself up for success. And following that idea is torque wrenches. If you don't have some, you probably shouldn't even be working on your motorcycle. You can get them at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, wherever, Snap-on if you want to get fancy. But getting the right stuff to do the job correctly and to the best of your ability is what's going to make the difference with this. If you have any questions about trying to find service manuals or torque wrenches, you don't know what you're looking for, don't hesitate to give us a call or stop by the shop. I'll be happy to get you headed in the right direction. Moving on from that, this bike already has solid riser bushings in it. I think it's $50 well spent. You can get poly bushings or solid riser bushings like these, depending on your preference or your budget. I think these are only about $50, so it's not breaking the bank, and it makes all the difference, especially when you start getting up into taller handlebars. So definitely something to remember when you're doing handlebars. And then here's just a quick little tidbit about some of the tools that I use when I'm working on doing handlebars. I'm sure there's as many tools and different ideas out there, and this is definitely not the only way to do it, but just this is what I use and what seems to work well for me. These little pins are what I use to depin the connectors. Both of these came from Walmart, I think, or just some big store. I'm not sure which one, but they're pretty cheap. You're talking like $4 for 100. This little T-handle has been invaluable to me. I use them on a whole bunch of different connectors, and it's kind of my go-to. And then this little pin here that looks like it would get shoved into a map works extremely well for the twist grip sensor. And then moving back here, I got this metal that's wound together. I don't use it all the time. Dylan actually made it for me, but it works really well, especially when I have wires in the bar, but I don't want to remove them, and I can push this through and pull more wires through on top of it. And then this is my go-to. It's just some 550 cord that I cut the end off of and then pulled the guts out of it, and you can take some compressed air and shoot through the bar to pull your wires through. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of other ways of doing it, but this is just kind of what I've gravitated towards and what works for me. So got the controls pulled out of the old handlebars. As you can see, somebody cut the wire sheathing. They did it on both control modules and the entire twist grip sensor. There's definitely a time that sometimes you have to do that. The older J1850 bikes had significantly more wires that ran through the bars, and then you throw in like heated grips or something on top of that. You run out of space, and sometimes getting rid of that sheathing is the only way to get all the wires through the bars. This is a CAN bus bike. There's really not that many wires, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some heat shrink on these just for that extra layer of protection and keep him rocking and rolling while he's out on the road. So a little update on the heat shrink I was talking about. I actually ended up finding some old twist grip wires and control modules, so I was able to replace it with the factory wire sheathing instead of just throwing heat shrink over it. So I think that'll do a lot better and keep those wires protected as he's out riding. Hey everybody, just wanted to take a second to show you the difference in the handlebar clamps before it gets put back on the motorcycle. So on the bottom we got the stock clamp. It's nothing special. It does what it needs to do with stock bars or maybe a slightly above stock handlebar height. We're going to be putting on this Paul Yaffe Bagger Nation super clamp. It's a really nice part. It's pretty nice looking. It's kind of a shame that it gets covered up. But you see these little set screws up here? They make all the difference in locking your handlebars down. And I highly recommend it if you start getting into 14, 16 inch or taller bars. If it's something you're interested in, don't hesitate to give me a call, or it'll be on our website. So I went to check the customer's riser bolts before I went ahead and put the handlebars back on, and they were definitely loose. I was thinking for some reason that we had installed them last time he was here, but after looking at his invoice, I don't think that is the case. And then more noticeably, there's blue Loctite on these bolts. I don't ever use blue Loctite on my riser bolts. I think the service manual might recommend red, recommend blue, but I found that red works the best. I don't want these going anywhere once I put them on. They need to be on there, and that's it. And I just wanted to take a second, and if you're doing this at home and you're using Loctite, clean up the old stuff before. I could just slap a bunch of red Loctite over this, but it's not gonna let the Loctite do its job. So if you don't have a way to do it, get yourself a thread chase kit. clean out the holes that go into the risers. You can run it over the bolt, clean the Loctite off of that. Wire wheel works well. That's what I'll use for the bolts. And then the holes, I'll use this or a wire brush, but find some way to clean the bolts up real good before you put fresh Loctite on there. All right, everybody, so we got the old Compensator ramp out and we're getting ready to go back together. We're gonna be going back together with this right here. It's the Star Racing billet Compensator ramp. Super nice product, and it'll definitely bulletproof that primary and take any of the abuse that the customer is gonna throw at it. While we're in there, we're gonna be doing a different chain tensioner. It's just a stock Harley OEM replacement. I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick it up, but there was some weird grooving in this last time we were in his primary. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in there. Make sure everything's squared away. We got our gaskets and stuff all ready to go back together. And then this, if you don't know, this is a compensator bolt. You could probably get away with reusing the old one, but the service manual recommends to put a new bolt in, and that's what we do here. It's a critical component to keeping you going down the road, so it's worth the $10 for that peace of mind. Also, we're a Star Racing dealer, so if you want to upgrade your comp ramp or cams or any other products that he sells, get a hold of us and we'll get you hooked up. Customer picked that up last night and now it's on to the next. If you guys have any video ideas that you'd like to see, we'd love to hear from you. Whether it's a topic you just want us to deep dive into, if it's a job that you'd like to see us record and really focus in on some certain areas or whatever, let us know so we can get a camera on that when it comes to the shop. You can leave a comment here on YouTube, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, call the shop, stop by the shop, however you want to get in contact with us, but we'd love to hear from you. And then I think finally, other than that, it's starting to warm up here in Pennsylvania. Thankfully, I can't wait to get back to riding every day. With that being said, I'm sure the shop's going to start picking up. So if you need to get your bike in, now is definitely the time so we can get you squared away before those first warm days of spring hit. Other than that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you out on the road.